Hi Ben.
Hi.
Could you introduce yourself please?
Yes, I'm Ben. I'm 46 and I'm a gas engineer.
Perfect.
I'm also perfect.
What I'd like to ask you is a little bit about your interest and journey with negative thoughts and where you're at now and your process. So I know that you are somebody who is very passionate about transforming your negative thoughts into something that feels completely different for you. Could you tell me a little bit about why that has been a significant or important experience for you so far?
Which specific part? That's such a big thing to cover.
Okay, how about, did you, as a kid, what was your experience of negative thoughts?
Negative thoughts as a child were very much along the lines of, am I loved? Does anyone even care about me? And those kind of things, you know, and that reflects very much on how you grow and what you look for as you get older, and how you interact with your parents and with other people, obviously.
Did you find that negative thoughts were something that you were having a lot of as you were growing up?
Yes, I believe that most children, especially as they get to teenage years, they go through that period of, it's kind of a self-reflection really, and the only experience they have is those short amount of years they've got to compare it to, or the only thing they can compare it to, that self-reflection, is the experience they've had from the years that they've spent looking at other people, whether it's their parents, friends, people on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot more now, there's a lot more negative thoughts amongst youngsters.
So when you were a kid specifically, the thoughts that you were receiving, you interpreted in a way that made you feel less than?
More less than, it could be right, yeah. I was initially thinking then unwanted, but it wasn't unwanted, it was more like didn't matter rather than unwanted.
And at the time I'm guessing you weren't aware that this was your programming that was running through you, it was an automatic thing?
No, you get that later on when you sort of look at how you think people should be. Well, to say that, I think you can look at other families and friends and it looks great, the kind of family and friends they have, and then you look at your own family and friends, or you look at your own family and you've got this skewed idea of what is right and what is wrong, although we have an instinctive idea of what is right and what is wrong, but especially as far as parents are concerned, they should be the ones that are giving you love and showing you affection, and if you don't feel like you're getting that, or at least getting it equally to siblings and other people, you can very much feel like you're not as important in life.
Mm-hmm.
And you can take that on through, you know, into your adulthood.
Is that what happened to you?
Yeah, to a certain extent, yes.
What do you mean?
I think it's more of a subconscious thing after a while.
Mm-hmm. Like a automatic programming.
Yeah. So you kind of take that through and then you're constantly looking for that thing that's missing, but you don't know what that thing is. So it comes out as negative thoughts, and those negative thoughts, then you've got to find some way to combat them, and unless you find a healthy way of combating those negative thoughts, you're going to sink down into all sorts of things like depression, addictions, aggression, and and dependency on other people, that kind of thing. So
did you have those experiences?
Yeah, I had that sort of experience with certain types of addiction and things.
And was it through that process of uncovering that there was an addiction and you had certain coping mechanisms which clearly were keeping you safe to a certain degree? They were coping, weren't they? You were doing the best that you could.
I don't know, when you say safe, I don't know if they were really keeping me safe. My perception was that they were, but it wasn't really. It was more splintering myself into different personas as such.
Like a fracturing.
Yeah, splitting into 2, maybe 3. Not that I was like mentally going on, but yeah, I think the safety net was being able to compartmentalise things, put things into boxes, and then push that out of the way until I needed it again. That was my kind of safety net, coping mechanism.
Would you say that throughout that process, and this is perhaps a rhetorical question, but would you say throughout that process you were happily, like comfortably uncomfortable, happy?
No, because there's always there's certain points, and it depends on what kind of problems you've got as a person. Me personally, there were points where I was happy, and I guess when I was single I was happier because I had less things to feel regret or any sort of negative things about. When I was in relationships, I was actually less happy because of all these contradicting thoughts. And a lot of the time when you have either addictions or anything like that, your brain's telling you, whether it's food or whatever, you know that what you're doing is wrong, and your brain, you can be thinking it out, speaking it out loud, but your brain's going, no, it's okay, just say it's this last time, we won't do it again, that sort of thing. But then the next time it'll be, well, just this one more time, that kind of thing. And it just doesn't, there's no end to things like that until you find out what it is that's causing the problem, and then working through that problem. And sometimes it can be an absolute mess to do it. It pulls up things that you never even thought of, you can't even remember, and then suddenly you, oh shit, yeah, that happened.
So what was there a defining moment, like a line drawn in the sand where you decided or recognised that these negative thoughts were ruling your life and that you wanted to do something about them?
Yes, there was, but it's not particularly something I'm going to talk about right now.
No, that's fair enough. But so there was a sort of a line in the sand that perhaps you got so uncomfortable with that you realised, actually I cannot carry on in this way.
Yeah, there was, even before that line in the sand, there was times when I thought everyone should think and be like me, because I was very unemotional. I suppressed my emotions a lot, so that there was almost no anger, no negativity outwardly from me, and it was all focused into putting on a sort of happy persona, although I was generally happy. It's not that I wasn't happy, but there's a point where you can see that you're just affecting everyone around you, and you can't really have proper relationships with people because you're hiding sort of the worst part of you. So you can't really get close to people because you're worried they'll find out or they'll see through what you're hiding, all that kind of stuff.
So would you say that like the negative thoughts that you were holding about yourself were affecting even parts of you that you didn't really recognize or see that it should or would affect? So like what I mean is with the intimacy, with the connection, with the relationships in your head, was it compartmentalized to a point where you kind of thought, oh no, it should be fine?
Intimacy was always a problem, and that's intimacy with anyone, friends, family. I just didn't want to get close to anyone really, but then I learnt to, I suppose, fake intimacy to an extent.
And then now, how did you have a process to recognise the types of negative thoughts that you were having and then change them, or recognise that they needed changing?
Well, it wasn't really so much a process as I just went to counselling. It was quite, counselling's not that easy if you're going to really stick yourself in there, but I went counselling, some group therapy and things like that, and you just work through it. But the important thing is really being honest with yourself and honest with other people as much as you can be, because you got to hold yourself to account with any of these sort of things, whether it's, well, with anything really. It's being accountable for stuff and not just projecting, blaming on other people, even to the point where, you know, if you've had problems with your childhood, when you're an adult, so you can't continue. Once you know that you've got a problem and you've got to sort it out, you can't blame your parents or anybody else who was authority figures. They could be a cause, but ultimately you're responsible for yourself and responsible for your own well-being. You know, once you get to that adult stage, you've got to work on it.
Did you find that thought in itself, that you were responsible for your own behaviour and your own thoughts, at the time that you recognised that that was a thing, did it feel empowering? Did that feel like something, yes, I can finally help myself and feel better? Or was it a begrudging kind of, oh God, now I've got to do this? Or a bit of both?
I think when I was first figuring it all out, there was a lot of blame and a lot of, oh, other people are responsible for this. And so that whole thing that I'm responsible for what goes on moving forward, it wasn't really there. And over time, you know, reading different things, different people saying different things as well, it kind of came to me that if I'm going to get out of whatever shit's going on, it's up to me to do it. You know, I can get help from other people, but I've got to put it all together and realise there's a problem, realise that, yeah, other people might have caused these problems, but ultimately I'm the only one that can solve it because it's in my head. So unless someone's going to get a saw and a spoon and have a wiggle around in there, then, you know, it's important to do the work.
I agree. How would you say, if a negative thought comes up these days, how do you approach it, or how do you relate yourself to a negative thought now? Are you always aware that they're happening when they happen?
Well, I really just look at what the negative thought is, see where it's coming from, and then it kind of depends what it is and where it's coming from, but I always try and reframe them into something positive, because I do feel that there is a positive to everything if you can find it. You know, having negative thoughts all the time is just going to make you into a negative person, and it's going to be self-perpetuating that your life's going to be shit. So reframing things into a positive outcome, even if you don't feel at the time very positive about it, you've just got to find the lesson in it, really. You've got to reframe it, find the lesson, and then work out. It's like, say you do something, go through a speed camera and get, you know, a ticket for it. The lesson from that is, don't drive too fast through a speed camera. Yeah, there's a cost to it and stuff, and some people go through it and go, oh, I'm really unlucky, I got caught. Well, no, it's just life, isn't it? Do something
And what's
like
the
that.
positive about getting caught by a speed camera?
Hopefully you'll learn that you've got to drive slower or pay more attention, or both. You know. There's that. Take a book back to the library late, have to pay a fee on that. Are you unlucky, or is it because you've not, you know, a lot of people ascribe negative things that happen to them to bad luck or something else, and all they're doing then is pushing the blame away from themselves, whereas you just need to think, that's not bad luck, that's just something that I've done wrong or something, and you've just got to accept that, you know, you've messed up or whatever. Look at the positive side of it, do what you need to do to get over it, pay the fine, apologise about taking the book back late, I don't know, and then just move on from it. Remember not to do it again. The only bad lesson is a lesson not learned.
Oh, profound. I love it. Thank you. Did you find that learning the art of reframing was something that you picked up easily, or did it take repetition and time?
It's honestly something I've not really thought of, because reframing I find relatively easy to do.
Do you think you're a positive person as a bias then already?
Yeah, I've always been quite positive. Yeah, there's things that I've put down to bad luck and stuff in the past, but not for a long time. So, you know, but it's easy to blaming other people is so easy, rather than looking at yourself. Reframing things to be more positive is just a really good tool to keep you out of feeling guilty or feeling negative or any other number of negative things. So just finding the positive in something, anything, you know, miserable rainy day, it's feeding the plants, isn't it? Well, it's watering the plants, that kind of thing. Whatever's horrible out there, there's always a good thing that can be seen out of it, and even those good things can sound horrible, but essentially they're still quite good. You've just got to look at it in the right way.
So if you had, as your last parting thought, if you had to offer any advice to somebody who's struggling with their negative thoughts, what would you say?
Struggling with your negative thoughts. It depends on what those negative thoughts are and why they're negative. I mean, if you have proper depression, and I don't just mean feeling a bit sad on a particular day, if you've got clinical depression or anything like that, then go and get help, because there's no easy cure to that, and you
Same
can have
for
all
trauma, huh?
Yeah, and same for trauma. Yeah. If you're having negative thoughts and something bad's happened to you, again, just take a bit of time to really think about it. You know, why is it so bad? What's the consequences from it?
To get some perspective.
Yeah, perspective's a good way of putting it as well. You know, just look at it from as good a position as possible. It's not a really simple thing to answer, I don't think that is, because we're all individual and we're all going through different stuff. We've all got things going on, and reframing stuff to be as positive as possible it helps. But if you've got a lot of stuff going on, bad happening at the same time, then the best thing to do really is go and get help, whether it's help asking friends, family, doctors, or whatever, or ringing up a line to help you speak to someone. Then that's just as important as reframing stuff. Lots of tools. Use the right tools for the problem.
So make sure that you have access to a wealth of different types of tools, because what I've noticed is that even in moments when I think, oh yeah, this thing worked last time, maybe the thoughts changed differently, maybe it's got a different slant to it, maybe it's a different way of perceiving it, but then I need something different to come in and help me move my thought from negative and reframe it. So having a wealth of different types of tools and access those and can be really helpful, right?
Yeah. The wider your set of tools, the better set you are to cope with different things that come up.
And just to finish then, how would you say reframing negative thoughts into positive has changed your life?
I don't walk around miserable with a cloud over my head all of the time. I think I spot opportunities better. I'm less afraid of going for opportunities. I do know, because that's one thing. I used to be afraid of doing things because of the negative outcome. And reframing things like fears as well. It's not just negative thoughts. Well, I suppose fear is a negative thing, but reframing those sort of things is a good way to just have a better life, I think, on a day-to-day basis, just for little things. Even if if you're having lots of problems with a lot of negative things, even if you can just reframe a few of them to be less negative, I think it helps.
And I'm guessing before, when you had lots of those, you were not only trying to numb the negative, but also by its very definition, you also numb the positive. So does that...
To a certain extent, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can't numb feelings without... You can't numb negative feelings without numbing your good feelings, happy feelings to a point as well. I could still feel excited and everything, but everyone else always seemed to be more excited, or wow, this is going to be so good, and I'd just be like, it probably will. Yeah, it's all right.
And does that feel different now?
Yes, I certainly feel more excited about things now.
Thank you, Ben.
No, thank you.
That's been brilliant. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.